One question that one may see quite a lot on forums and the such is how to deal with an obsession. Well, at least this question is a bit more pertinent than other formulations like how to remove an obsession and this and that. See, an obsession is not something that is necessarily a problem. An obsession is nothing else but usually the result of a problem. And that is why many people seem to be blind to the possible solution. See, an obsession is the result of certain things that you could not handle. So you ended up doing something. You felt you were feeling good, mainly, but not always, but mainly because you are not necessarily getting results, but you are feeling safer from the problems that you are running away from. And then you ended up thinking that while you do that, you feel safe, you feel good, you feel appreciated. See, whatever you feel, you can feel emotionally or cerebrally. The biggest problem with most people is that they imagine certain things that they feel. They feel that other people appreciate them, but they forget they live in a sick society. In many people's cases, not even their own family appreciates them for what they are, which is quite a big hit for a lot of people. When it comes to an obsession, many people may probably forget the fact that your main obsession could actually be the result of another smaller obsession, or an obsession that you're not focusing too much on. In my quests through life and searching and reading the human system as much as I could say easily one thing. And that is the problem, or what I call it, the triangle problem. People want to run away from something, boom, they have obsession. Yes, a coping mechanism which you should never look at as a problem. It is just like a symptom of a disease. And oftentimes you go to a medic, they give you some pills, but they never treat the problem, so it keeps staying on. I've got friends in my life who've been through 1 year and a half of suffering. Suddenly they found the right medic, the right situations, everything felt suddenly magical, and they went over with their problems. They were prompted towards something completely different than the other ones told them to do, and voila, the problem was somewhat solved. And, well, in time they recovered to their original health. Now, when it comes to an obsession, people want to compulsively, unconsciously thrust it out of their life, push it out of their life. See, an obsession is something that will always overpower you at the level of your mind. When something reaches your mind, that is when it can easily become an obsession, just like with any aspect that you do in your life. That is why some people simply cannot pull their mind out of sex, for example, or other such behaviors. See, you can do smoking in a certain way and you simply do not get obsessed with it. Yes, it has nicotine and other things that can cause some, let's say, dependence on it. But there are some people who smoke and simply don't care much. They can smoke whenever they desire. The difference is the majority of people associate whatever they feel when they smoke for the first time, or suddenly they smoke when they're depressed or something like that, and somewhere subconsciously they associate that with relief. That is the strongest signal you can give to your brain. When you give your brain even a subconscious hint that the action you're currently doing is a relief, it will obsess about it. Yes? Because suddenly you have to comprehend one thing. Your brain only seeks comfort. Yes, we are creatures of comfort. All beings in this world are creatures of comfort, more or less. When you look at mammals, at least, they are creatures of comfort. Which ones of those wouldn't want to simply sit and do nothing? But their whole life is all about survival, pointing out problems, aggressors, and simply fleeing the situation or fight their way out of the situation. Similarly, we are just animals like that. It's just that we call ourselves fancy titles because of abandonment issues and stupid parenting. Well, it goes on thousands of years through the ignorance layers that we have been, because no one has ever told humans, well, at least the last 4,000 years of chaos and ignorance, no one has told them how to raise their children, how to handle things. Because, see, the biggest problem in your life and why most people end up in obsessions anyways is that you've got too much spare time. Back in the times, everything lasted a long time to achieve. You had to make, or well, you didn't even have to do that. You had anything that you wanted to do, it was more or less a challenge. You wanted to go to the market, but you lived on the other side of the village. You wanted to do this and that, well, you had to find the herbs, you had to find the ingredients, you had to buy them, you had to constantly walk. And cleaning was a problem since you only had like one piece of cloth and a whole army of dust particles to simply dust off. Nowadays, you have so many things that make your life easier, especially for women. And women seem to constantly struggle with their greatest poison, that of comfort. They have too much time. Most people have too much spare time, and they still suffer from the old patterns of their ancestors. They feel that everything is so hard to achieve, you just have to pick up the vacuum cleaner, you just vacuum for 3 minutes and there you go. Probably not even 3 minutes. Now people use vacuum robots that do the work for them, but they still feel tired as fuck because the only reason they suffer is that they are focusing constantly on the suffering of their ancestors. See, you live in a house where other people have lived before. Maybe that house did not exist, but something else may have lived there. You are suffering from energies that you do not know. But preferably this will be kept for another video because people simply don't want to accept that there are things controlling them. You think you have control over your life, but you cannot even control 1% of your life because that's how much you suck in life. Sucking in life is a good thing in a way because when you suck, technically everything in your life is horrible. So everything needs to be changed. It's the worst when you are like at 80-90% potential and you take ages to figure out what the little thing is that you have to replace, right? Just like having a super machine with thousands of pieces and one or two are faulty. Good luck finding those. How to deal with an obsession is not that complicated as it may seem, because one has to comprehend the obsession is not your problem. Your problem is your set of beliefs. Because a lot of people want to rid themselves of their first obsession, they will easily end up with another obsession. The second obsession is always how to deal with the first obsession. So they start doing compulsively something else as a means to survive. And the moment they enter survival mode, their brain and the whole body will invest way more energy than usual into that new pursuit. Because you have to comprehend, you have a certain limited amount of life energy. That life energy doesn't have any direction, and it is a huge problem if you don't have a direction too. Because your body will invest those energies in the directions that you go. The moment you convince your brain subconsciously that that is the direction to go, it will start focusing on that. And that is why something may feel good. You suddenly have a direction. Then it comes upon you that you've been doing the wrong thing. You change, but a few tries later, you get back to the old ways. It doesn't work to change instantly because you have adjusted your life energies to simply follow that new pattern. Yes? And it is now a memory in each and every cell of your body. It is a memory within your body. A thing that most people simply forget. They think they are just this stupid little body that doesn't have any function. They look at themselves, they look at the body only as a product. Only a product that must do their obsessions, must fulfill their whatever they want. They cannot see their body like the billions of cells doing their work because psychologically and emotionally, most of the people cannot comprehend what it is like to simply appreciate all the effort that their body is doing for them. How many cancerous cells has your body defeated this day? How much effort did your body do to wake you up from the bed, right? Psychologically, it is almost impossible in some cases, but your physical body does its work even when you're feeling depressed, even when you're imposing your misery upon billions of cells. And that imposition induces in time the diseases that you're suffering from. But that for another video as well. See, the obsession is not your problem necessarily. Your obsession is you're doing things compulsively, yes? And that is why you end up into another obsession and then another obsession and you end up overwhelmed by those because usually, as I've seen, the human body will not handle easily more than 3 obsessions. Yes, you can call yourself good that you've got 100 obsessions, that you're obsessing about lust, about cigarettes, about this. The problem is you're not obsessing about lust, you're not obsessing about smoking, you're not obsessing about alcohol, you're obsessing about a way out. And alcohol, lust, whatever of those are just one way that you're doing. Those are just the results. Your obsession is not the behavior you're doing, your obsession is that of survival. That is your original obsession. It has become so enshrouded in attempts to escape the mundane, in attempts to escape your initial obsession, that you have become fully blind to that obsession. Your obsession is that you want to feel some emotion in your life. You want to feel something. You want to feel the touch that your parents never gave in your life. You want to feel anything. So, how do you do that? See, well, a lot of people have as a near core obsession, as I call it, the idea of comparison. Because once you have an obsession, you want to do things to escape it. And the biggest problem is, a pitfall of that is that, well, you end up comparing yourself. How I went over that comparison is impulsively? No. Instinctively? No. Well, I went over it intuitively. I was guided by this, by whatever source, I'm not gonna bother with that. But the point was, how about I have a problem? Good. How about I reverse engineer the problem? Yes, because the problem usually is the result of another hidden problem. Yes, many people look at the end result and think that that is the problem. No, the end result is the result of numerous properties, variables, whatever you want to call them, installing their points on you. And well, you get to do something which ends up as the so-called problem that you think it is. So instead of comparing myself to so-called people that do stuff, why not compare myself to people who don't do stuff? And I actually did something. As opposed to the majority of people who don't do shit with their life and they suffer their comfort and their intellect instead of actually a problem, well, I actually did something compared to them, right? So viewing things from such a perspective can actually help a bit because it no longer makes you feel pressured. The pitfall of this is, well, you will think you're doing too much, so you will simply get back into the idea of not doing anything. The biggest problem most people have is that, well, you have too much spare time and you don't know what to do with that. Think about that. You work your ass for 8 9 months, yes, and it's shit. Then you get yourself 2 spare weeks. Yes, you get yourself 2 spare weeks. Suddenly you're like a decerebrated being. You don't know what to simply do with your life. You've been growing through a fucking life where everyone told you what to do and you always complied, that now suddenly you're there with so much spare time to do and you literally have nothing to do, and the only things you'll do is you'll do those compulsively. Why? Because you want to escape the mundane. You want to escape the so-called loneliness. You want to do something, but you never know what to do because every time you want to do something, you're pulled back to the comfort. What's the comfort? That of always being told by others what to do, because that way you know the script. Others will tell you what to do, you will do it, no one is pleased, and you will simply lie yourself that everything is good. Yes? Yes. So the problem is what? Well, the problem differs per individual and obviously their background. But the problem is you are not doing things consciously. Yes, everything finds a solution through conscious, but you are never taught to function in a conscious way. Try breathing consciously for 2 minutes. Become one with your breath for 2 minutes. Oh my gosh, it feels like a death sentence, right? Because when you're in survival mode, it's always easy to let the brain do the thing, to let your body do the thing, and you just do things unconsciously. Then 5 seconds later, you wonder, what the fuck have I been doing? Because you have literally no memory of what you've been doing before. Because your brain never remembers anything that you do unconsciously. Yes? When you invest so much effort in doing something consciously, it feels like a pain. And the brain always remembers that which feels like a pain because it prepares itself for the next encounter, it prepares itself for the next situation in which it will feel like that. And well, the point is, if you know how to harness this and do it in a conscious way, you can actually escape any possible obsession. Why? How to do it simply is like this. Do your obsession once again. But how do you want to do it? You've been doing your obsession and you've been suffering it. Why do you want me to do it again? Well, that's a very good question. See, you've been trying to shun it. You've been trying to outrun it. You've been trying to do anything possible. Every one of your solutions was unconscious. So why not give this point of mine a try? You can simply go back to the ways of the past, but you failed constantly on those, so why not try something new? See, why not try to simply comprehend your obsession? Because you've been doing it unconsciously for so many times. What is it? Lust? What is it? Smoking? What is it? Drinking? Why not do it consciously? Because every time you do it unconsciously. You drink yet another bottle sinks in, or you relapse back into, I don't know, masturbation or just watching porn. Some people just watch porn and they don't masturbate. Yes, they're just obsessed with seeing others do stuff. Yes, or this and that. It can be any other point that technically they perceive as an obsession. See, why not do it consciously? When you do something consciously, let's say you have an obsession with drinking, drink one bottle, but don't drink it impulsively. See, that is the challenge. Don't drink it impulsively. Just breathe in deeply and start drinking. Do the same thing you've been doing for 20 years and thinking that, yes, that is the cause, that is the problem, and that is also the solution. Yes? So drink it. Feel what you feel. Feel the liquor simply going down your throat. And breathe deeply after each. Take a sip and then take a long drink. Feel each of those. Do this for several days, several tries, whatever you may want. And afterwards, feel how you feel. Allow your body to tell you specifically how you feel. Yes, obviously you will unconsciously say you feel like shit. No, 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 no. Feel that consciously. Yes? Feel it consciously. If you're a stinky drinker, just drink twice, 2 bottles, or half how you're drinking, and allow yourself to feel. Just rest in bed afterwards and let it simply be. Yes? Don't think, oh my gosh, I'm doing it again, because the obsession is covered in all your stupid thoughts. Your blaming, your doubts, your self sabotage. You want to give up that obsession and you self sabotage. No, this is the way because it is the only script I feel comfortable about. And this and that. And then you want to find a way out. You find a way out. It feels good, but it doesn't feel good enough. So you relapse. Yes? Allow your body to tell you how shitty you feel after that obsession. Don't call yourself bad. Don't distort it. Simply just be. Let all the thoughts in your mind flow. Yes, you're a piece of shit. Yes, you're a failure. Yes, this and that. Obviously, a lot of thoughts will come in. And you're comparing yourself yet again with other people. Just do it consciously and tell yourself reverse comparison. Yes, I am doing this consciously. Look at all the stinky people who do their own obsessions yet again unconsciously. Yes. Oh, you're obsessed with masturbation. Just do it once consciously. Feel each and every move that you do. Feel each and every emotion that goes through your mind. Let all of those simply go. Yes. And then after you finish your obsession, whatever it may be, allow yourself even hours if it may be. Delay everything you are doing if you need to. Do it for as long as you need. Just allow yourself to experience the shit that you're going through afterwards. And then you'll probably realize that you're not necessarily actually feeling shit. You're feeling shit because, well, you've been overdoing something. But worse than that, you're doing the same mental circus again. You've done it again. It is not good. You're not worthy of a better life. This and that, the pulling yourself down because other people are not there to tell you to pull you down that you've done that, but you've got 100 voices to do that for you anyways. Yes, because that's how you've trained your mind to function. You do something bad, it is bad for your health, for your emotional health, for anything in your life, and then you're also doing the work of pulling yourself down even more. And you hate being pulled down, you hate being so-called mentally punished, you hate the pain of that, so you dive back into your obsession yet again. Yes, and well, it becomes a death spiral. So allow yourself consciously to feel how you feel. And when you allow your body to express those emotions and to feel those emotions, slowly and surely you will feel, it may take days, it may take weeks. Relapse is always a possibility because, well, you've convinced your physical body and you've been doing that for years. So obviously you're not going to transcend that cycle in one day. No pill will help you, I assure you of that. My system told me of that. You can take pills, you can lie it, but every cycle has a start, a restart. That is why people relapse after a while. Some people stop smoking and they start smoking again after 20 years. the memory of feeling good about that, you will not surpass it your whole fucking life. It will be there in each and every one of your cells, in each and every one of your bits of your body, in your brain, in your emotions, in your karmic structure. But I'm not gonna dive into karma because people simply shun that away. They cannot comprehend something, they run away from it. Yes? Some people dive into learning. Yes, I've seen the such. They seem so good learners. They seem so knowledgeable. But it is an obsession. It is hard at times to observe it, but some people learn just because it became their obsession. They forget after a while what they learned, but keeping themselves busy, oh, that is an obsession that is an obsession. And people keep themselves busy. That is actually one of the true obsessions that you have in life, keeping yourself busy. Because, well, you think you have too much time in your life. And the problem is, you keep yourself busy through all the things that you do, whether it is lust, whether it is masturbation, whether it is drinking, whether it is smoking, or whatever. Yes, that is one true obsession. Because what I call a true obsession is a few aspects that you suffer from and you indulge in certain behaviors. And then you think those behaviors are your actual success. Some people stop eating as an obsession. Yes, they punish themselves by no longer eating. Because some people have an obsession to punish themselves. Some people have an obsession to be punished by others. Because it depends on multiple things. It can have influence from previous lifetimes as well. But yet again, I'm not going to dive into that because most people don't feel ready for that. Or will simply shun that away as voodoo stuff or, weird magics or things like that. So you have to comprehend one thing. The only way out of your fucking obsession is through being aware of that. How does it make you feel? Ask yourself constantly and consciously. How does that make you feel? Does it make you feel like shit? Well, it definitely does not make you feel like shit enough because you're still doing it. Yes? It's like stabbing yourself emotionally or physically even. And well, does it hurt? Well, obviously it hurts. But well, why are you still stabbing yourself? Because it does not hurt enough. Hurting yourself even more is not gonna work. That is the problem with a lot of people. They dive into their obsessions even more, thinking it will solve itself. No, your brain will find even more pleasure in it because if it felt comfortable while you are doing it a little, it will feel even more comfortable once you do it a whole fucking lot. That is why some people drink and they end up over drinking and they drink themselves even more because it feels way more comfortable. Every time you obsess about something, unconsciously you find something because it distorts your reality. Drinking a lot distorts your reality. It affects your logics. You think suddenly everything is logical, and then, well, you get in a quarrel with everyone. You get in a quarrel with yourself. You mistreat yourself even more, thinking that that is the way. Yes, smoking and drinking, even masturbation, distort your reality because you end up perceiving things in a much simpler way. You think the whole life is simple, and well, you overdo it. But that is just an obsession. But what is the problem with the obsession? It is not the solution. You're doing something thinking it is a solution, but it is not. Yes? Because all these obsessions feel like a cheat out of your problem, but you never cheated yourself out of the problem. You're still doing it. Yes? At the end of the line, well, when you draw a line, what happens? You restart your fucking obsession. It creeps back into your mind. You can do all the meditation in the world. You can take all the fucking pills and numb yourself down. Obsessions have all the time in the world. They actually have all your lifetime to wait so that they come back. What is an obsession other than a cycle? Everything in this cosmos is cyclical because everything physical is a cycle. Oh, guess what? Your obsessions are also physical. Yes, they have a mental state, they have an emotional part. Yes, you have invested all your fucking energy into those. So obviously it is hard to detect because it is your own energy. Have you noticed how easy it is to observe other people's energy? That it feels toxic, it feels itchy, it feels bad. But when it comes to your own energy, oh, that is such a huge blind spot. Have you ever noticed when you have things in your house, it is so hard to simply throw them away. You've kept them for 5 fucking years. And guess what? You can't throw them away. Why? Because they're impregnated with your energy. Throwing them away feels like you're throwing a bit of yourself, right? It's like cutting a limb and throwing it away. Doesn't it feel like a horrible deed to do? Well, obviously it does. Similarly, the obsession is just like that. I don't need to be a 33-degree Mason to simply observe that. You know, they do the same thing that I do, except in a way more proficient way because they're dealing with energy specifically. I just ask and I receive my answers. How? Well, I will never find out, nor am I even interested. Because once I know that I get my answers, all I need is to ask in a certain way and I will receive the answer sooner or later. That's how I research my system. Well, I've got other comprehensive ways through which to do it, but maybe for another video. So you have to comprehend your obsession is not your enemy. Your stupid thoughts that you pulled out from other people are your enemy. Yes? And they're causing a fraction within you. Every fraction that you have within you feels uncomfortable, feels bad because you're having your own thoughts fight against themselves. When you fight someone else, well, you're not gonna see them each and every moment of your life, so dealing with them is not that a problem. But you cannot outrun, you cannot outsmart your thoughts, but you can outsmart the problem. Yes, you can start thinking consciously, you can go through your so-called obsession consciously and allow your body to feel how bad it makes you feel. Yes, because most people are not aware that they're feeling bad. Yes, they feel like shit, you see them suffering, but it's always like you're not suffering enough. Yes, because if you suffered truly enough, you would have found a way, or you would have started to find a way. That is why a lot of the people suffering from any sort of obsession, they are trying to find a way, which is the good thing. Yes, they are trying to find a way out, but they don't seem to find it. Yes, because they end up doing unconscious things. And well, to some people, a very few, it works. And it feels like suddenly a spark for the majority of others, but they end up overdoing things. And well, unfortunately, that is never the path. Yes. After you do that for whatever time you need, you do it consciously and you see the results, you become aware of the results. Well, the problem is you will probably think, you'll start asking questions. When you ask yourself questions, the problem is there comes another pitfall. You will sabotage yourself. Again, you will judge yourself, especially that is a big pitfall because you will start sabotaging yourself here again. You will start judging yourself. Why have you been doing that? Yes? Oh, one of the hardest questions to answer. Why have you been doing that? And obviously you're going to call yourself stupid, ridiculous, idiot, whatever the nouns, words, whatever you call them, that come back to your mind. What will be the problem after? Well, after you judge yourself enough, you're going to get back into the problem that you always had, that of the fear of being judged, the pain of being judged, which is yet again a pain that you have been designing. And then guess what? You get back into your obsession because it feels comfortable yet again. You do not have a comfort problem. You have a problem with your mind. Yes, you have allowed certain things to go into your life for way too long. You have convinced your physical body that that is the way. And well, it is taking you through that as its journey. Because your whole life is all about teaching the energies of your body to invest themselves in certain areas that you see fit. How your body spends those energies and how your system functions, it does not have any awareness. You have to have the awareness to guide it. So if you feel like shit out of doing something, just do it consciously a few more times and see why you're feeling like shit. You will see your physical body will simply withdraw slowly and surely. But your quest in life will be to make sure you don't feel shit yet again for too long. Because it is enough that you have one little pesky thought convince you of something and suddenly you have yet another obsession. Or you might find out after 20 years that you dived back into that. So now, after you, let's say you quit something and it's been like 10 years since you've not been doing something. How many times have you gotten into a quarrel with someone and you overreacted? You reacted in an unconscious way. And then what was the problem? Yes, you slipped back into the unconscious. You probably saw or felt how all of your compulsions simply slithered back into your life. Because you have to comprehend one thing. You are not suffering your life. You are suffering your fucking ancestors' life, which everyone in this world is. You're not suffering smoking or drinking because of you necessarily. Because it makes you feel good and it connects you to how your ancestors have also been feeling good with that same obsession for you. But obviously this feels like some kind of black magic secret or things like that. No, this is fully secret and it is how reality functions. You are suffering that. The more you focus on your obsession, the more you get in touch with how others have been feeling by that. That is why it is also becoming pretty hard to do that. No, you're not doing any voodoo while you're doing your obsession. You're just allowing yourself to feel how others have felt as well. Because you have every experience that every human before you has had and any animal before us humans has had, you're experiencing it as well for I don't know how long in your life, but it is very strong because it is also coming as an obsession from the others. Yes, it is an obsession that so many have felt, and obviously it feels comfortable. It feels like the whole human collective is calling to do that obsession, right? That is why at times, when it triggers from a karmic standpoint, it feels so overwhelming. Your mind simply shuts down, your logics shut down. Yes, you will have such karmic moments in your life, just simply do them. You will not do anything good by repressing those. Actually, repressing those doesn't even feel like an option anymore, right? Because the point is, when those things happen in a karmic way, it's like simply you have no more personality, you have no more life, you have no more brain, you have no more logics, you have no more emotions. You're just a robot doing that again. Yes? If you can become conscious through that, well, that's your instant gratification. That's your instant enlightenment, or well, one level of enlightenment. But that will only have 1 in a million chance to happen. Yes, because not everyone can become conscious during doing something and not feel bad. Because many people will become conscious during an obsession and they will simply stop doing that. And then they will blame themselves and they will relapse back into their obsession. Yes? Once you become conscious of something and you do it consciously, you have to do it several times every time it comes to you. At times, just find something else to do, and you will see that usually your obsession will dwindle after like 2 or 3 minutes. Sometimes it will come back here again. When it feels compelling that you must do it, just do it in a conscious way. Slowly, do not rush. There is no some such thing as rushing. Unless you have to go to work or do something else, just do something else and then go to work. Times it may not work. But, well, when you're compelled to do something, well, just do that. When you have to do your obsession and you have a lot of spare time, just experience it in a conscious way. You will see your obsession will find all sorts of times to get back to you. It will hit back at you while you're at work or while you simply can no longer distract yourself from the compulsive need by doing it consciously. Yes? When you're at work, just consciously do what you're doing. What is it? You're selling stuff, you're working on code, do it consciously. Tell every time what you're doing, tell yourself, I'm gonna start coding this next thought, right? This next line. I'm gonna start doing this. I'm gonna sell this to that other person. I'm actually walking to the cabinet. I'm taking that and I'm giving that to the person. Actually, I'm gonna give them extra credit, extra information. I'm gonna thank them one more time. I'm gonna smile to them. Do things consciously because that's how you were acting when you were a child. You had literally no problem because life was just open to you. The biggest problem that you have is that you have way too much time, too much spare time in your life, and you don't have a clue how to fucking handle it. Yes? Because that is the problem of most people. No one ever tells you what to do with your life. All they tell you is what to do with your life just to please them or to chase something. When you're at work, everyone tells you what to do. You have schedules, you have this, you have that. And it in a way feels comfortable because, well, you don't want to assume the responsibilities, but you don't have a choice and well, or you think you don't have a choice, and well, you end up doing them regardless and you do them again and it becomes comfortable because everyone's telling you what to do. At home, your toxic partner most likely is telling you what to do, how to act, how to behave. Your parents probably are just like that. So everywhere you go, everyone wants something from you. You do it, that's your comfort. Then comes the problem. You suddenly are surrounded by none of these toxic piece of shits. And guess what? What do you do with your life? Well, you don't know because you don't have any sense of direction. Well, you don't necessarily need a sense of direction. Just do something small. Just breathe consciously. And the point is, you start living life when you live things consciously, when you become aware of your thoughts, when you become aware of anything that happens into you, and you no longer are obsessing with control. Oh, control, that is another true obsession. Yes, it is another true obsession. The illusion of control. you don't control shit in your life. You can't even control your life energies for now in your unconscious level that you are, and you think you can control life itself. Well, check yourself with a psychiatrist. They're not gonna tell you anything good, but just do that. Yes, because when you have control issues, you're never gonna reach anything. Maybe some people will yield to you because you're intimidating, but you still have the problem of obsessing about control. And it's only gonna be solved when you figure out what the problem behind that is. Hopefully this video raised a bit of awareness. Feel free to ask any question in the comments, and when I feel ready I will drop a video on that. Take care, enjoy life, and this being said, Ferenc Board signing out.